Hey everybody, I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope everybody had a nice Thursday out there. It's hot, hot, hot as usual here. Just waiting for some clouds to come in. Hopefully we're going to get some rain again today, but even if the clouds just come in, I'll be happy. Tell you what, this heat's starting to beat me down. I'm ready to see the fall get here, but being where I am, I'm not in any hurry. I mean, I know that it's going to be a while before we see any better weather, so it's all good, isn't it? Today I want to talk about making raw food diet easier, some simple tips. Guys, I do videos every day, so if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate if you'd go down and hit the subscribe button now. Come back and check out a little bit more of my content. So how do you make this a little bit easier? How do you make this a little bit easier? There's a number of ways to make this diet lifestyle a little bit easier. And a lot of them I've talked about before. Well, actually, I'm going to try to come at it from a little bit different angle, but I've talked about most of this stuff before. It's nothing, new after doing so many videos. But I think it's important to make it as easy as possible on yourself. Some people just, I don't know, it is what it is. We're different individual beings. Some people are just going to struggle on this lifestyle a little bit more than others. Some people tend to have more of a problem with the cravings and getting away from some of the food, that they're used to eating more so than others. And I'm sure that can be frustrating, especially when you're just watching the people just kind of sailing through, and doing this lifestyle and not having any difficulties with it. So, don't be afraid to just take a step back and evaluate yourself and do little simple things. Like I've found in my life that, you can get real complicated, but sometimes the simplest answers or the simplest solutions are just the best. One thing I found having the other day, it was not like, ooh, it saved me from eating something bad, but I did pick this up, is when I made that eggplant dip the other day, and I did those boats that I had with the eggplant dip, a little bit of that cashew kind of sour cream sauce in lettuce boats with some tomatoes, cucumbers, and onions on top. And I liked that so much, but one thing, it just made it so nice. And I was thinking, well, this would really work for somebody else that, has to struggle a little bit on this lifestyle. It's just having food that's already prepared and easy to get to, because, boom, the second you have some sort of a craving for something that you shouldn't eat, you don't want to eat, isn't going to serve you the best, you just eat something that you have here. And once again, don't be afraid, okay, well, it's silly to get, to prepare that much. If you have to, make smoothies ahead of time and keep them ready, whatever you've got to do, in other words, just do it. But having food around that's prepared, okay, for a lot of people, there's different levels of this. Now, one thing I've recommended a number of times is when you're new to this lifestyle, when you're transitioning, when you're getting started, to keep plenty of food around the house. Keep a lot of fruit around the house. Keep a lot of good vegetables around the house. Keep some healthy snacks around the house. But if you need to go if you need to go one step further, go ahead and prepare that food to where if you get hungry, you got a meal going. You can prep everything. You can do big salad preps, you can prep your fruit. I used to love to do that when I was down in Costa Rica. It's just cut up massive bowls of fruit, and that would be enough for me to eat on. I'd eat on it for 2 or 3 days, but it was always there. Always there. If my mind even for 2 seconds wanted something that just didn't serve me that well, boom, just go eat what's in front of you. So, keep some food prepared around the house. And also that comes back to, you've got to enjoy your food. So experiment and keep, learn how to make new dishes. I know I repeat myself on this over and over and over, but if you're just eating food that's just okay, well, I'm going to eat this, it's good for me, but you're not really enjoying it, you're just not going to sustain on this lifestyle very long, because we're wired like that. We're wired to enjoy our food. It can't be that utilitarian. And when you see some people, you've seen me go through a lot of phases where I eat just the simplest of the simple, just eating, doing a lot of mono fruit and whatever, it takes a while to get there. So don't necessarily try to be so hardcore, understand where you're at any particular time. And, you know, sometimes people need to use the recipes. I feel like sometimes I probably just shoot from the hip and I probably don't make my point clearly. So when I'm talking about recipes all the time and kind of being like, okay, don't be so obsessed with recipes, it's still important for you to have, you know, some good recipes in your repertoire that you enjoy. That's one thing I want to just keep stressing over and over and over and over about this lifestyle. It's about enjoying what we're doing. It's not about restricting or being on some sort of a diet. That's one thing I've enjoyed about this so far. You know, I'm like everybody else. I've been on diets throughout my life. I've done a number of different diets. I've done a number of different things restriction-wise to lose weight throughout the years. But it's just really nice not to have to do any of that stuff anymore and be able to eat, you know, like real food. I don't have that much discipline. I'll just be honest with you. And I don't think this lifestyle would have ever lasted for me, been successful for me, if I didn't enjoy my food, if I had to restrict my food. That's one thing. I've just been like a kid in a candy store since day one, is that I don't have to think like, okay, in other words, if I'm hungry, I eat. Now, my body has changed throughout the 7 years that I've been doing this lifestyle. It doesn't necessarily ask for the same things. And your body will evolve over time. So that's another tip too, is to, you know, be patient with this. You don't just jump in and start eating mono meals. You don't just jump in, generally, most people don't, and start eating 100% raw or eating everything perfect from the beginning. It's just step by step, doing a little bit better every day. Another tip that I don't do, I haven't talked about this one in a while, but I have mentioned it a number of times, is if you're struggling on this lifestyle, or if you really want to make it easier from the beginning, keep a food journal. Write down everything you eat and everything you put into your body. That just makes it so much easier to go back later and kind of break it down if something's not working for you. If you're hungry all the time, if you don't feel, or, you know, like I say, it's just there in black and white in front of you. And it's so easy to troubleshoot when you don't have to guess, because, you know, nobody's going to remember everything they eat every day. Say, for instance, like if you were trying to look back across the last week, let's say you wanted to get some help from somebody. Let's say this thing's not working for you, or you're struggling on it and you want to get some help from somebody else. And you go to somebody to ask about health and they're like, okay, well, what have you eaten over the last week? Let's break it down. Let's see what you've eaten. Our memories are not, there's no way you're going to remember every single thing you eat with over the course of a week. So if you've got it written in black and white and you're doing it day after day, week after week, it's a lot easier just to go through there and figure out where the problem is, where you're struggling on this lifestyle. And there's a number, you know what, I could probably sit here all day if I wasn't so feeble-minded and just come up with one tip right after another. But it's always think about simplifying this lifestyle as much as possible. You know, one last little tip I would give you is maybe look for some small groups on Facebook. And when I say small, I mean really small. I'm not talking about where you got a lot, like even 50 people in there. You know, Facebook is like, there's so many different options for groups, and I think when people think of groups, they think of a large amount of people, or they think about having a group to try to grow it bigger. But, you know, you can have as small a group as you want, and I think there could be a lot of value in that, is to say, like, and almost make it a support group. You know, like if you've got 4 or 5 people in there, all like-minded, maybe at the same stage of what you're doing, you know, you help each other along the way and make it, you know, if you're having a problem, I'm not going to go fool with turning the air off right now, I'm almost done, and if you're having a problem, if you're struggling with something, you've got those 4 or 5 people to reach out to, but you don't have to go through all the information of a big group. Like once you get thousands of people in a Facebook group, you know, you got to wade through and you got to figure out, well, is this crazy talk? Is this good talk? Is this whatever? Because you've got a number of voices, a number of opinions. So get those 4 or 5 people, and it's not about, hey, you all might be beginners or whatever, but this is for support. You know, support is important. That's the one aspect of, like, you remember, like, I remember my mom used to always go to Weight Watchers, and, you know, although that was not a sustainable way to be healthy, to lose weight for good, she would lose weight at times, and it would always, I always noticed, like, you know, they had their buddies, they had their partners or whatever. So I'm just thinking we can do an updated version of that, you know, with the Facebook groups. But if you get 4 or 5 solid people, you can kind of rely on each other. You can share tips, you can share recipes, or sometimes just if somebody's struggling, you can just kind of help bring them up a little bit. So anyhow, I'm just kind of just shooting from the hip a little bit today. I've been a little bit under the weather, and I'm going down to Pensacola tomorrow. But anyhow, good to connect with you guys. Hope you enjoyed this video today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. And I might not see you tomorrow, but I'll see you within the next couple of days. Peace.